So let's get into thinking about version control and how you're going to lay this out. Now, while not the topic of this webinar, Blazor applications fit very nicely in a Visual Studio solution structure that is leveraging Onion architecture as a pattern. And so if you've never heard of Onion architecture, just go look it up, and you'll find a wealth of information, a lot of people talking about it. But managing your dependencies is key. Now, likely you're going to have a pretty large software system, and your Blazor application is going to be one of the applications in your larger system. It's natural to segment a software system into multiple versioned software applications, independent applications that can be developed, tested, run, deployed, maintained, servers restarted, totally independent of the rest of the applications in the system. And regardless of what other patterns that you're using, whether you're decomposing your system into other monolithic applications, or if you are going for a microservices pattern where you have very, very small applications, the same rules apply. You want each of your versioned software applications, however large, to have their own Git repository. You want to make sure that you only have one application for a single Git repository. And so if you're creating a new Blazor application, file new Blazor project, you need to decide and understand architecturally, is this a Blazor application that is a part of your architectural application, or does this represent a new independent version software application? Long time ago, before even the word microservices was coined, there was a lot of talk in the industry about SOA, service-oriented architecture, and then the word service was defined, and that's where even microservices, it's kind of the same tenets of service-oriented architecture, just let's make them a little bit smaller. That's basically what it is. So if you look at SOA, service-oriented architecture, you'll see that the tenets of a service include being autonomous. And so that when we think about autonomous, well, it starts with having its own source control repository, because if we share a source code repository with any other versioned software application, which is the same concept of any other service, then we are going to be coupled with that other code base, and we're not going to be autonomous. We're not going to be independent. And so we want to do that. Now, the various build, test, and deploy products on the market, they are all built to work on whatever the code is in a particular Git repository. So if you have two separate versioned software applications in the same Git repository, you're going to be constantly trying to separate and fight those in the rest of your process. So it is perfectly okay to have multiple deployable processes that are a part of a single application. And it's actually very normal to have a main Blazor app, and then maybe another Blazor app that's just the admin console or something like that. If they have the same deployment cadence, the same maintenance windows, if you have those, the same monitoring, if they work on the same libraries, the same SQL Server database, the same data structures, all that, they are the same application. They just happen to be deployed as separate processes so that you can have different scale characteristics of one deployed process versus another. That is perfectly normal, and it's quite common to have multiple Blazor apps in the same Visual Studio solution, and everything in that Visual Studio solution is built, tested, packaged, and deployed together. But if it's a separate team, if you want a separate deployment schedule, a separate maintenance schedule, a separate, totally separate resources in Azure, in different teams and all that, architecturally, it really is a separate application.